Today we're going to be talking about why now is the perfect time for you to start dreaming bigger. Keep watching. Today's video is brought to you by my mini course, Permission to Suck, Bypassing Perfection, Embracing Potential. This is a 3-lesson course with 3 bonus videos that has been the transition point for hundreds of my clients to change their relationship with failure for good. If you're feeling stuck or sluggish in your ability to take hold of the thing you know you're supposed to do in the world, you've got to get this course. All the details are in the description box below. Hi everybody, I'm Christi Bovee and I'm a veteran mindset coach and voice intuitive who works with high-level professional and pre-professionals, getting them to find their voice and make their sound in the world, no matter who they are, no matter what they do. Welcome back to Mindset Monday on the Voice Love Company. Why am I making these videos? I am doing it in response to the many messages I get every week from you in the audience, telling me that you're having a little bit of trouble getting rolling again after everything you've been through because of what's happened in the world the past 15, 16 months. It just, for some of you, you're still in lockdown. It's ongoing. Last week, we talked about the power of your belief that you can. And if you missed that video, I'm going to leave a card for it right up here so you can catch up. I've heard from so many of you who said it was a really encouraging message and that sometimes you still struggle to believe, and I totally understand. For many years, I've had a saying that I wrote on the chalkboard on my studio door: believe you can and you will. When I work with clients, we get to the bottom of their belief system pretty quickly. If I could name the primary thing that everyone deals with when they are trying to reach a higher level of performance, the one thing that's holding them back is shame. Brene Brown is an amazing researcher into this topic of vulnerability and shame. And she says, shame is that warm feeling that washes over us, making us feel small, flawed, and never good enough. We've all walked through years of landmines via our dysfunctional families or adults in our lives who were dealing with their own demons of substance abuse or narcissism or codependency. And if that's not enough, then we get into our school years where we're told repeatedly how we aren't good enough and that if we step out of the box and we are different, we will be punished. And don't even get me started on what happens when you try to go into the arts and try to, quote unquote, make it. There are always people who see it as their job to make sure that they cut you down to size. And I know it's true in every profession. All of these experiences and the words that have been spoken over us create tracks in our thinking. They start to be the running narrative that controls our lives. We make agreements with the things that have been spoken over us, the lies, and we actually forget who we really are. If you can go back to the time before your heart was really broken for the first time, do you remember how magical you knew you were? How powerful you knew you were? Those were the days when we believed we were superheroes. But the shame has crept in and kept us small. So we get to be grown-ups and we get to the point where there's no way we would ever step out and ask somebody out on that date or share that idea in a meeting or let people know about that novel you're secretly writing. It feels too scary to face more shame, to face the fact that they may potentially judge you, to be reminded again of how you are not enough. But I want to encourage you today that it is time for you to dream bigger, to change everything moving forward. I had a dear client come to me once who wanted to work through his shyness. And in unpacking his thought patterns, we realized they were just mired with overthinking. He was worried about the things that he should have said. He was worried about the things that he didn't say. And he actually believed that he was born with no confidence. I have a news flash for you. People are not born confident. Confidence is earned by disrupting the thought patterns that you are having over and over and over again. Confidence is taking authority over that shame and replacing the negative input that has been in there for years and replacing it with positive. So whatever you've been told as a child, either directly or indirectly, you're bad with money, you are a disaster at relationships, you're clumsy, you're ugly, you need to be quiet because you have nothing to say. Those labels that you have danced with for decades can be dropped. And here's some good news. You have all the power here because you get to choose to drop them. You get to choose. You can break free from the power of these labels that have held you bound for so long. And there are two ways to do it. First is an emotional impact, something like 9/11 or a global pandemic that keeps us all locked down in our houses for 15 months. But there's also a less dramatic way to do this. The second way is constant, spaced repetition. By that, I mean you purposely put in your mind new messages that counteract the old, and you do it over and over and over and over again. Spiritual traditions call this renewing the mind. It means you change what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're reading. You change what you're allowing to be said to you, and you change what you say over yourself. I'm not saying that it's easy. It takes a concerted shift in your thinking. And when the old thoughts pop up, which they inevitably will, you stop them at the door of your mind. You put in the good input. Why should you do this? Because you have something to do in this world that nobody else can do, only you. And the longer you allow these messages to hold you back and keep you small and keep you mired in that shame, the longer it takes for you to break free and do the thing you're supposed to be doing. Somebody is literally waiting for you to show up and do the thing that only you can do. And the way you do it is by changing the way you think. It's what you think that ultimately manifests your results. So you've got to quit blaming other people or your circumstances. Take responsibility, take control of your thinking, put in better quality thoughts. You are in control of how you think, how you act, and therefore the results you are getting in your life. Shift your thinking and see the relationship of your mindset to your results. Results in what, you may be asking? Results in your goals. Yes, we are talking about the G word today, goals. You have to set goals. And I know it's really hard for a lot of you right now because of everything that's going on in the world. My mentor has given me some excellent ways to look at goals. The first one is the A-type goal. It sounds funny to say out loud, but A-type goals are the goals that we set for ourselves that we already know we can achieve, which I've learned is not really a goal. Then there are B-type goals, which is something you think you can do if everything lines up exactly perfectly, and then you may take the first step. Anybody make a goal like this one? Just me? There's no inspiration in going after the A-type goal or the B-type goal, which is why most people don't have any goals. So what I've learned here is what we really want is a C-type goal. Cue the Spice Girls! Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I always think of the Spice Girls when I think of C-type goals because the question you need to ask yourself is, what do you really, really want? A lot of people, when I ask them this question, say, I don't know what I want. I have no idea. But I don't believe that. Can I just tell you, after working with clients for the past over 30 years, I don't know is quite often a limiting belief. That is shame talking again. It's what we tell ourselves when we don't want to be disappointed once again. Because you do know. Deep down, your soul actually knows what you really want. I believe we reject it before we give it any serious thought to avoid any further pain. It's self-protection. So what is a C-type goal? It is something you know is beyond your experience today. You don't have a clue how you're going to reach this goal. It's so big, it scares you just a little bit, maybe a lot. C-type goals require us to use our imaginations, something that many of us haven't used for a long time. Going back to those school years, imagination is completely driven out of us as kids. We're told to stop daydreaming, pay attention, be serious about life because life is serious. There's a premium put on knowing what's going to happen at all times and being in full control. Dreamers are made fun of. Imagination is looked upon as silly. But have you ever stopped to notice that out of all of God's creatures on this earth, you and I are the only ones that we know of right now who are able to imagine? One thing I love is stories of people who use their imagination to create their wildest dreams. The actor Jim Carrey, when he was virtually unknown, would visualize himself having directors come up to him and say, I really like your work. He went so far as to write himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, payable around Thanksgiving of 1995. He kept it in his wallet where it deteriorated. And would you know, right before Thanksgiving of 1995, he found out he was going to be paid $10 million for his role in Dumb and Dumber. The first man to reach the summit of Mount Everest was New Zealander Edmund Hillary. He used his imagination to see himself at the summit of that mountain. No one had been to the top of that mountain before. Everyone who had tried to do it had died, and everybody told him it could not be done. Edmund returned to Nepal for 3 straight years and finally saw his dream realized. He was willing to do whatever it took to get to the top of that mountain. And he did it. Lady Gaga, when she was plain old Stephanie Germanotta, would say over and over and over again, I am going to make a #1 record with #1 hits. And I love the story of the Wright brothers, whose imaginations were sparked when their father brought home a flying toy. They couldn't let it go until they built their own airplane. We talked about it last week, how there are untapped resources inside of you. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody steal your dream. When you finally sit down to figure out what it is you really want, you're not going to know how to get it in a million years, but don't be deterred. That's half the fun, is getting up, following one little baby step after the next, and you'll have just enough light for the next step. It's okay not to know the exact how. If you set a goal and it doesn't scare you, you are on the wrong track. You've got to build the dream. That is half the fun. I'm realizing it with what I'm doing with the Voice Love Company. I'm becoming myself in the process of doing all of this. And that's what you can have and be and do as well. It's going to require that you actually think and ask yourself a couple of questions. Am I able to do this? You may not know how you're going to do it, but you're absolutely able. The other question to ask is, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price to do this? Am I willing to do all that I have to do to get where I feel called to go? The real purpose of a goal is growth, and you get to choose to grow or not. Setting a goal like this for yourself causes you to draw something out of yourself that you never dreamed in a million years was there. The reason I'm doing this series is because I believe now is the best time. Your best days are ahead of you. If you want real change, you have to put a little work into it. Think about what you're thinking about. Choose thoughts that are powerful, positive, hopeful, and then set a goal for yourself that is so big it scares you. There's no better time in history than right now for you to think new thoughts. Somebody in the world right now is waiting for your light, the light that only you can bring. Don't keep them waiting. You're capable. You're glorious. You've totally got this. Take the first step and remember, you are loved. Have a great week. Bye.